Today's agenda is how can AI help you with vacation and travel planning? Some ideas that I have, and other people may have some other suggestions, but we'll try some experiments out, see what we can get AI to do for us. What AI should you use? There's a lot of choices, and we'll take a look at what might be a benefit of using one versus another. We'll look at some AI and travel apps. There's an app that's incorporated AI into its planning and scheduling. We'll take a look at what to expect from that. And then obviously translation. I don't know how much we need to show about translation, but obviously translation is an AI-based technology. And I think with some of the newer models of smartphones, the Samsung S24, probably the iPhone, when they get Apple Intelligence, will have translation on our devices, and it'll take place much faster because translation uses a lot of machine learning and AI. Okay, so how can it help? Well, these are just some things I've done, which doesn't mean everything, but it's some things I've done and learned about. So that first of all, you can find places to visit based on your interests, your activities, previous trips that you've taken. You can use it to plan itineraries and adjust the itineraries as well. So I said I've got 4 days in Madrid. Then I said, what could I do in 3 days? How would you change that? I like to take a nap in the afternoon, and it'll adjust your itinerary for you and make suggestions about what might be better for you to plan out your schedule. You can find interests. I like museums and history when I go traveling, and so I can say, hey, what are the historical places that are most significant, or what are some beaches, whatever your interests are, if you like surfing or scuba diving or antique toy collecting. I had a friend that did antique toy collecting, and every time he'd go on a trip, he'd look for shops that sold them and try and do a little bit of shopping around to do that. So then adjusting schedules, as I mentioned, you can adjust your schedule on the fly with AI and get it to change a few things for you. And obviously the translation tools. So from a standpoint of what you should use, the all the AIs will really do this. Copilot from Microsoft, Gemini from Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude with Anthropic, and they all have free versions that you can do. Some are a little better at some aspects than others, and we'll take a look at that. Gemini in particular by Google, you're able to activate a connection to Google Maps and Google Flights and Google Hotels so it can take advantage of some of that search capability that it has in its database. Copilot obviously will search the web. ChatGPT searches the web. Perplexity goes out to the web. Claude, Anthropic. So they're all pretty good. So if you're using one already, there's no real reason to change and try something different. They'll, give you some good information. They have a lot of data on particular places and what are great places to visit. And we'll take a look at how it compares to a travel app that's integrating AI and how they've done it. Okay, so let's take a look and see. And I don't know if anybody has, we've talked a little bit about some questions people have. And let me get my uh, browser up here. I'm going to be doing this in Chrome only because I want to be able to get to Google Gemini a little bit more effectively. Now, I had done some things where I would looked at planning a trip to Madrid. And so if I say I have 3 days in Madrid, what would be worth seeing? Okay. And you can ask AI chat questions. And so here's a suggested itinerary for a 3-day visit. The Royal Palace of Madrid, the Almudena Cathedral, Plaza Mayor, Puerta del Sol, Mercado de Santiago. Day 2, a little variety. Day 3 plans a few things out for you as well. And so it gives you a good itinerary, and you can say, well, can I walk to all of these from a central hotel? You can start getting specific questions. And it tells you, okay, it gives you some idea about places, and it's starting to tell me how long a walk some of these are too. So it gives me some perspective. 20-minute walk, 15, 20-minute, 15-minute, 15 minutes. Tips for walking, hydration, plan breaks, cafes along the way to plan things out. Okay, so I said, I'm interested in learning salsa dancing. Can you recommend some places? Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so here's some schools that they have locations giving you the address, and some nightclubs and dance venues that you can go to, some different tips and suggestions and ideas for what you might want to do. Okay. Um, okay, I don't want, oh, well, what I want to do is I want to take a nap every day about 2 p.m. Can you adjust my schedule? And so you can really ask it to do a lot of things for you, and it'll say, okay, um, here's what you can do. Here, a nap at 2 p.m. every day, and starting to give some specific times for where to travel. So it's saying the Royal Palace, 10 to 12, the Cathedral, 12 to 12:45, Plaza Mayor, and then you get your break for your lunch and your nap, right? And then you are free in the afternoon. Here's what it recommends for the afternoon. Okay. And then evening and dinner walk, art and green spaces, day 2, 10 to 12, etc. Yeah, AG.
How do you know it's not hallucinating on any of these places, not just making them up?
How do you know it's not making them up?
Yeah, there's issues with AI and hallucinating. How do you know that as it gives you the schedule? How do you verify to avoid in case there is a hallucination?
Well, I mean, obviously you could check on a map, and see these things. I could say, well, can you draw, or I don't know if it'll pull from a map, but let's see if it will do that or not. Okay. And so we'll just ask for their websites, for example, and see if it comes up with these. Okay, so it's coming up with websites that you could verify that these are very real places that you could go visit. So that's one way to do it, I imagine. And I did ask it for some websites to get tickets in advance, because you can schedule the tickets in advance and get them taken care of a lot faster that way too. So, I mean, obviously, if the place has a website, it's probably going to be a real location. I have not seen too many fictitious locations ever done for travel, but I'm sure it's theoretically possible that it might come up at some point. So let's say, okay, now what if I only had one day? And it spell corrects and things like that. So it's going to say, here's the highlights, the city's must-see attractions, including the lunch and nap, that I wanted. And I didn't tell it how long a nap I wanted to take. I just said, it scheduled me for an hour. Okay, 1:15 to 2:15. And then some other things. So this is one day in Madrid that I think I might want to do. And you can get a citation. That means that's a Grammarly tool that I have says this is generated by AI. So all of these are, websites that are included now that you can find and go visit and schedule and see if tickets are available and find out if they're real places. So that's just one thing that I found, that was interested in doing. So I'm going to take a local place, okay, e.g. in Waco. Okay, so I think I'd like to visit Waco. What is there to do for a visitor? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, okay. So here's some history and cultural attractions. So uh, I didn't know there was a Dr. Pepper museum there. Have you ever been to it, EG?
Yes, it is. It is the only Dr. Pepper museum. Dr. Pepper was created in Waco.
Wow. Okay. Magnolia Market from Fixer Upper. Okay. And then now it's including websites for me because I asked it for websites earlier. It kind of remembered these are things that I can do. So if I have a 1 day stay, what should I see? Okay. If you have just 1 day, here's the highlights, okay? And it's going to, based on how much time you might want to spend at one place or another, it'll, give you an idea of what it might have. Now, I don't think it incorporated my nap anymore, but I didn't specify the map. So there's a 1 day itinerary for somebody coming to Waco if they're interested. And so you can take almost any place and say, if I've got 1 day, what are the highlights? Or if you say, okay, if I want to change it and say, I have a friend visiting Los Angeles in October, what Hollywood type activities would you recommend? They're big on Hollywood stuff. Okay, so these are Hollywood themed activities. Okay, the Walk of Fame, the Chinese Theater, the Hollywood Sign, Warner Brothers Studio, Universal Studio, Paramount Studio, Hollywood Museum, Madame Tussauds, Hollywood Forever Cemetery, Dolby Theater, which is where the Academy Awards take place, Sunset Strip, Hollywood Bowl, the rooftop at Mama Shelter. I didn't know about that, or Yamashiro Hollywood. Okay, so different activities. Yeah, EG.
I was wondering, since you have switched from several different topics, can you print, like, let's say you want to go back and print the first group that you did. How difficult is it to go back and capture just that, or do you have to put in? You have to put the prompt in again.
No, you don't have to put in the prompt. Each time you hit a prompt, there will be a copy um, icon that will show up for that particular prompt and response. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
great.
so you don't have to, I mean, I like say I've changed venues, I've changed ideas all in one chat session that I'm doing. You don't have, you could start a new chat each time, but it does give you the a hover icon here. I don't know if you see that, but it gives you the ability to copy that one if you want.
Okay. Follow up question: when you leave this, and let's say you come back 2 days from now, can you pull the same thing back up? Is it somewhere? Have you saved it somewhere, or does Gemini automatically save it?
Well, this is Chat GPT, but Chat GPT, because I'm logged in, I have an account, um, it will save you your activities. So I can go back quite a ways here, back to say March, where I did
Wow.
a search for expat communities and popular areas around the world. And so most of them, if you have an account, it will typically save your chat history for each activity you might do.
Great, thank you.
Sure, sure. It's really convenient because, like you say, gee, do I have to enter a new prompt again? That's really inconvenient. Now, ChatGPT does that. I don't know if Copilot does. Carl, does Copilot save your history of your chats?
Bob, I can't remember. I think some of them do. I think Gemini. I can't remember. Some of them I think do though.
Okay, Gemini does. I mean, here's a Camino de Santiago trip plan I did a little while ago, and you've got options to look at it. So if I want to go back and visit it, I can visit. And so it couldn't generate a map for me directly, but it helped me find some places with some routes. And I have the ability to share and export this to docs. One of the advantage of Gemini is that it's a Google product. So if you use Google Docs or you want to create a draft in Gmail, it'll give you the ability to open up Gmail and it already has a draft created for you with the response. You can email that to yourself if you want to. So some things are convenient because of that integration. One of the things that Google has in the settings of Gemini, it has something called extensions. And with extensions, you can turn on the extension called Google Flights, Google Hotels, Google Maps, YouTube Music, and there you can do searches here. So if I wanted to say plan a visit, I can plan a visit. It knows that I was talking about Spain. So here's some suggested prompt that it has because it's doing random, but says show me flights to visit my aunt in Madrid. I didn't have to go directly from the extension. I could have just done a new chat and say, show me the best flights to Oviedo in December for for Christmas, okay? And we'll see what it's Gemini connected to flights. So it's searching Google Flights here for me. I didn't have to go directly to Google Flights, but it's saying be sure to check your details, okay? So here's some flights, some airlines, some things that it knows I'm in Seal Beach because that's my Google location. I didn't say, but here's LAX, multiple airlines. You can find out more details, and it gives you the flight information right here in Gemini because I activated the Google Flights information. Okay, now can you give me ideas for a hotel? And it'll come back with Google Hotels ideas. And so it'll give me some information because Google has a lot of travel information about flights and hotels and places that I can look at that I might consider, uh, getting information on. So amenities, and here's lists of the hotels, and I can go directly from Gemini, to the hotel booking. I don't have to go back to search or anything else. So I can say, well, can you, I don't know, show me the hotels on a map. This was what I was curious about earlier. And Gemini may sometimes do it. Okay, so it pulled these up on Google Maps, but I don't know if it actually generated. Here's the map I was looking for. Okay, so here's the map. So if I want to get a route, okay, so what is the distance from the Madrid airport to the Prado Museum? and show me on a map. Okay. So rather than navigating in maps to try and do this, this is the distance, and it'll show it to you on the map, and you can open this up in maps right away. So Google's got this great integration with Google Flights, Google Hotels, and Google Maps that will give you things. And I can say, well, how long is it to get there? Okay. And it'll tell me how long it is to get there. And but tell me by car, or by if I want to go by train, I could change it to give me instructions for trains. So it's really pretty effective in doing these things. So we have somebody going to Croatia, Bill. So I said, well, can you show me the best sites to see in Croatia on a map? I don't know. I haven't done this, so we're going to see if it does it for us. And it's going to Google Maps. Okay, so that's a good sign. And it's pulling the data out. Okay. Okay, so it can't find it. Okay, it might be some issues with the server. So obviously, AI is not always going to work. Okay, but I can say I have a week in Croatia. What should I see? And it'll give me information on a planning. And it gives me a couple of days, splits and activities, and it actually, can balance the time frames out if you want to and say, well, I want to do something different. So it's a great way to be able to find these types of things. And obviously with Google, you can modify the response if you want to quickly, or I'll give it a thumbs up. Pretty good response. Thanks. Appreciate it. Think it's correct. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then I can double check it. Okay, so EG asked, well, is this accurate? Well, let's go to Google. It's going to search on Google for me to make sure, and it self-evaluate its own statements. And so the check is completed. Understand the results. Okay. So it found it highlighted a statement. It means that Google found content that's likely similar to what AI generated in its response. So the green stuff is good. Anything highlighted in red is bad. So I don't know if there's anything highlighted in red here. No, pretty much accurate in terms of what we got. And I can expand how it found it in search as well. So if you're unsure of where it's getting things from, Gemini gives you some tools that really give you the ability to dig into it and finding things, and it'll actually take you to links, that you might want to go to if you're interested on Google search. So that's how they're tying things together. Var Island, here's where it got it from, and Dubrovnik, Plitvice, I think that's how it's pronounced, National Park, beautiful national park. I saw a video on it, and it's just amazing what they have there, and a few other things. So here's a possible itinerary, but also we'll split things out by day for you. So it's a good thing, and it gives you some local information about what to expect, and then you can share it out to yourself. Now, obviously, if I was doing multiple searches, change things, and I can share each search separately if I want to. And it gives me some related topics here that'll take me to search. And it now starts to have information here that takes me to a more traditional Google search site if I want to, as opposed to a Gemini AI site. So just a little bit different way to approach it. and look at it from whatever perspective you want to do and plan things out a little bit. And it'll plan multi-country trips. It'll give you time frames for travel. If you say, I want to rest here for a day, I want to stay in my hotel this one day, or I want to take trains as opposed to drive. You can ask AI all of these questions, and it'll start to really be very effective in planning out a trip for you and giving you ideas on things that you might not have thought about before. Yeah, EG.
I was wondering, since you activated the apps, the extensions for Google Maps, Google Hotel, and Google Flights, will that now be permanent anytime you open Gemini, or is it only for the time that you're using it?
As
Do you
long
know?
as I'm logged in with my Google account, it's set. I didn't have to reset these at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Sure. So it's going to share information, but you control the extensions. And so if you're interested in find something nearby, with a week in Croatia, it'll just say, okay, here it says a different prompt. Show me grocery stores close to the entrance of Grand Teton National Park and give me ideas to bring good snacks for hiking. It kind of makes suggestions there. So let's submit that. And you can also upload photos and say, hey, this is a great photo. I like the idea of where this is. Can you tell me where this is and how I can get there? So it's pulling things up from Google Maps here on location. So it's really nicely tied together. It doesn't, like I say, we saw one that didn't produce any maps, so didn't help us out. So, but lots of times it will. Yeah, EG, got another question? Oh, okay. So now I find because of Google's integration with Gemini and Google Maps and Google Flights and Google's hotels, it's really one of the better ones in my opinion for travel. But you're still going to get a lot of good information. You could take the information from the 3-day Madrid itinerary, copy that out of Chat GPT, start a new chat and say, can you plan this on a map for me? And just paste it in and see what happens. Don't know. Okay, so we're going to find out. I have never done this, and so we're going to see if it actually will work effectively. So it actually did. It actually did. So you can take something and copy and paste it. If you did something in Copilot, said, well, is Gemini going to give me a better map? Okay, well, let's see. Can you plan a driving route for me? Don't know if it will or not, but we'll see. So here's a driving route. It actually planned it out for me to get to driving directions from the Hollywood Walk of Fame to the Hollywood sign, a few other things to see. So you could actually get it to plan out driving routes and time frames and things like that. And you can open up in maps, and it'll open up in maps. And if you're with it has the route planned out for you already here. Okay, and you could send directions to your phone or copy the link, and it'll tell you how long it's going to take to get there and what the route sign activity is. So it's a nice integration for travel, that you can use to really get a good sense of what are things that are happening, where do I want to go, what can I do? So I think it's one of the more robust ones. Now, TripAdvisor is a travel site. So this is what we're seeing happening on websites like TripAdvisor. Some of them, like their Kayak and others, are starting to integrate AI. And this will say, where do you want to go? So let's take some place that's popular. Let's take New York City. And let's say trip length of 3 days, let's say 4 days, and during what month is optional, and I'll click on next. And it starts to have some guided prompting. Okay, so if you're going solo or if you're going with a partner, are you traveling with pets? No. And I go to next, and then it asks some prompts for what you might be interested in. So if you can't think of things that are good ideas, say, gee, I'd like to go to great food. I'd like to go to art museums. I'd like to go see baseball. And you can add other things too, and it'll plan out an itinerary. So I'm going to include with Google here. It's going to have me choose an account. Didn't have me do this on my other information, so I might have to verify this. There we go. Okay, so um, it's gonna match up our interests. It's obviously pulling data from information that's in TripAdvisor, and it's come up with a little advisory on what I might want to be interested in doing. And then it starts to populate the day out, okay? Day out, Roof Garden Cafe and Martini Bar, Metropolitan Museum of Art, Joe's Pizza. It shows me on a map where these places are. Whitney Museum, day two. I can get more information from a drop down here and see the TripAdvisor information for these things. Day three, day four, and I can save the itinerary with my account. Of course, what's going to happen is that when you save an itinerary in a trip, TripAdvisor is going to start sending you emails. Hey, you're ready to plan that New York trip, right? But you can go back and view it whenever you go back to the activity here. So if I'm, got my information here, I can go back to my account and I can see trips, and it should show me some saved trips at somewhere. I'm not that comfortable navigating. Oh, here's New York City for 4 days with your partner. If you want to add dates, and it's got this trip saved whenever I want to. And you can build your own trip and modify these and do other things with it. But TripAdvisor is starting to do this, and it will include, clearly hotels, tickets, places you can get for your information. So if I go to the New York Transit Museum and read more, it has a link where I can get information on it, hours that I can quickly and recommended time duration that I might want to see. Okay. So it has a lot of good information here, and then it has tours that you can purchase. Some are from directly events, some are the tour companies that are listed on TripAdvisor. So you don't have to go searching event by event. This is all saved as one itinerary that you can manage, and you can filter them or change them. And now they have something called new ideas for your trip. So they're adding ideas based on what you saved. As it gets to know you, it will make recommendations that might be of interest to you that you might not have thought about. Okay, so that's one of the things that TripAdvisor is not a generative AI company, but they are probably connected to either Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot or something on the back end, so that you are going to get some AI capabilities generated from them without having to think about it on your own if you want to. And then one of the last ones, Perplexity is a really good search. So if said I want to visit beaches in Hawaii, what would you recommend? And Perplexity is a good one. And Perplexity gives you the citation, the links to the websites where it got these sources. So it got the 18 best beaches from Travel and Leisure, Beaches of Hawaii from Go Hawaii, Reddit, and a few more. They licensed content from Reddit. And so it gives you information on this, and it saves, if you logged in, a package of, granola bars. And, I mean, I just was looking at it, and it has some translation here just by pointing at it. This is Google Lens. Also, it's exactly the same thing that Google gives you in Google Translate. So either using the Google app, but if I take a photo and I can send this to Translate Home, it'll show me the translation in English and in Spanish. Favorite what it has in it. It's an apple, sugar, yes, sugars, English, etc. And so it gives you the ability to take some things with the camera and get a better translation. If I turn it over where it has all the fine print that you might want to look at, taking a photo and being able to look at this, you can listen to it and you can send it to your Translate Home, and you can see the Spanish and then you can see the English. So it's a nice way to take advantage of travel. If you're translating something, obviously having a conversation. As our smartphones get more capable, the Samsung S24 has real-time translation on the phone itself. That is because it's got faster processors. I think as we see Apple Intelligence, it'll bring in more translation and more capabilities to us as well. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it. And we will see you at next week's Tech Topic. Thanks for coming. Take care.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Bye-bye.